I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, Mr. Snyder, anything you do have changes to the agenda?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I have three. One, on the financials, I'd like to add the IDB application for our federal funds.
As C?
Yes, that would be in financials as C.
And what is it, man?
It's the IDEAB federal funding application for special education and flow-through grants from the RAC and HOPS. But it's the long version. It's IDEAB, we have to do it every year.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Open Meetings Act, we just have to reapprove it every year.
Yes.
And number two is move Mr. Little. There's no principal report. So I would like to remove item G from this month's agenda. Not item G, I'm sorry, the principal's report, number 9.
9, okay, scratch.
I'd like to remove number 9 and put Mr. Little in right below financials.
Okay.
So number 6, before we get to ongoing business. So I'd like to put him in as number 6.
Okay, so right behind idea.
Yes, since there is no, yes. And then I would like, as a third thing, to remove item G. Item G was approved at the last board meeting, so we don't need to have it on the agenda.
Okay. Delete item G, 7.
Yes.
7G.
Yes, it was passed last meeting.
Delete item number 9. And then move Mr. Little for just what purpose?
Right after financials to present the, so basically, let me, well, we don't
Because
have
it's
to.
not a principal's report.
It's actually the handbook for the high school, which is already here. So we can
Yes.
we can leave that there. He can just present it and then you can vote on it when it gets down to I.
Which is I.
Yeah, so
To
actually, yes.
discuss, inform about item 9. Okay, gotcha.
no, to vote on it while you're here, so.
And we can vote later when we get there.
When it gets down there, yes. So I don't really need to change that.
7. Everybody clear as mud on that?
Trying to make it kind of.
Okay, I'm good with moving all that around if you guys are. Hi, Nicole.
Add the idea being on there?
Yes, it's on there.
I don't know.
Just,
It's on at 5C.
yes.
Thank you.
Why do you have tea and we have water?
Uh,
Sweet tea that is, sweet tea that is.
Yes. Okay. If nobody has a problem with making those changes, I'll need a motion
I'll make a
to
motion.
approve. Uh-oh, we lost Randy.
I'll make a motion.
Oh, it says calling, yes.
Okay, are you back?
I guess I'm on third for a second.
Gotcha. Okay, we got you back.
Okay, so
I
Randy,
just got on 128, so I should be good the rest of my life.
okay, good deal. So we've got 3 changes to the agenda. I'm sure you heard most of it.
I heard most of it.
Okay.
Put stuff around, take stuff out. You were at the point where you were about to approve it, and I said yes, and then I heard nothing.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, Mr. Cervantes made the motion, if you will second.
I will second.
All right, all in favor?
Great.
Aye.
Here we go. Ms. Sandy. Item number 3, did anybody see anything wrong or incorrect or misaddressed in the minutes from last meeting?
Dusty and I did, and
I had one
and I
question.
changed it, okay.
On the attendance, did anybody notice the attendance? It seemed a little low. And of course, I wasn't here and I didn't write my notes. So Mrs. Comar had enrollment at 290, Mr. Little 171, is that correct?
No.
No, that was just, I think that was just the junior high probably.
That's all I saw, I'm like, that can't be right.
It's probably 271.
I think it is 270. I don't have it with me now, but
Yeah, it was different.
Okay, so
They're
we
pretty
can,
close to
Yeah,
the
I
same.
think that's just, I gave the junior high and the high school, so it's probably
Okay.
missing one of them.
so we're gonna ask Erlene to just change that, and we're gonna approve. I'm gonna ask you guys for approval, a motion to approve with that one change, but that is all I saw, I just, kind of stood out.
The Dusty and I on yours which was it, Dusty? H?
H, yes,
If yours says, it says 246 to 262? Is that what it says on?
no, it's 246 to 269.
So it's, okay, so it should say 246 to 260.
Oh, instead of 269, yes.
Yeah, it's 265 through 269 is a different.
And
And
I
I
fixed it on
these,
these,
so yes, we have to,
yeah, and I fixed it on that one, but
okay. All right, those two simple changes is all that I see we need to address. Anything else, Mr. Chavez, or are you good?
No, ma'am, I'm good.
Okay, then I'll need a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve. I'll make a motion to approve it.
Yes. All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. I remember 4, public comment. Did anybody check the box to speak?
No.
Okay. Easy peasy.
Keep it going with it.
yeah.
Item number 5. Financials. Nicole, you've got the floor.
So I don't have any specific budget adjustment requests, just because we're at the end of the school year.
That was like last month too, right? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I do have the approval for final award letters, they just started coming out. We just did the, Title I, that just got submitted, we just submitted that one. And then, projected fiscal year 26 award letters, if there are any, approval for maintenance and transfer bars to eliminate negative balances, and then, approval for ad valorem and oil and gas taxes that are received in excess of the budget.
Okay, so let's get this motion correct here. So down at the bottom, you need approval for fiscal year 25 award letters for Fed. Fiscal year 20, projected fiscal year 26 award letters from Fed. Approval for any maintenance and transfers to eliminate negative balances, and approval for ad valorem oil and gas revenue tax received in excess of 25 budget in all funds. Correct?
Yes.
Nobody has a problem with those motions or those actions? We need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Mr.
I'll
Chapman,
second.
all in favor?
Yes.
And so for the next page for the tax levy, we usually get those in around the 17th of the month, so I don't have any updated numbers for the oil and gas and residential tax, so this is information from last month. But our status of the SB9, year-to-date expenses, about 19 million, we have encumbered, close to 48 million. Leaving our cash balance at 11.4. That's if we were to pay all of that, which we're not going to, because we're already close. I think we've already paid, we'll have one more payroll run for these projects, so our budget balance will be a little bit higher to carry over.
Okay.
And then we have our bond building, audited cash balance 27.5, year-to-date spending 860,000, encumbered about 13 million, and then that leaves the budget balance of 13.7. And so for the next meeting, you'll see all of the carryovers, the actual estimated carryovers on the budget.
We'll have different numbers.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll just wait till next month.
Yeah, because I don't have any numbers until, or they usually post on the 17th whenever we get the census as well.
And then within the new budget year, you'll get really a clearer picture of everything. It makes it clearer in the very front of the new budget, you can see it all.
And then so the June cash fee deposit was $521,967. And that sheet, will show you how much interest was booked to each of those funds.
It's a lot of interest.
That's about how much we've been running monthly too, it's about 500,000. And then you have a copy of your fund balances, and then your bank statements. And we're still in the process of setting up the fund with UBS.
Right, I hear you're making progress.
Yeah, it's just taking a little bit, but, because we have all these forms to fill out and send, and things like that, but yeah, we're getting it done. Do you have any questions?
I do not.
I do not remember a lot of stuff. Okay, we're good. 149. Mr. Chadwick, do you have any questions about any of the financials that Ronald just covered
No, ma'am,
so far?
do not.
Okay. So that takes us to the bill list.
Did y'all approve the budget adjustment already?
Yeah.
Okay. Bill list. Yes.
Okay. Yep, bill list in front of you, Mr. Chad, don't have trash. I hope you already looked over it.
Can you look over that?
I looked over it earlier today, I did not.
Any questions?
I have not figured anything on there to come on.
Okay. Nor did I. Thank you very much. Thank you. Just to make sure.
Lasco sure got a lot of money on this one.
They always do.
Well, it didn't go in the way, not enough of it.
Okay, if no questions or issues, I guess we need a motion to approve the bills list.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Good deal. Okay, that takes us to item 5C now. Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
Yes, that's it.
Item 5C, Idea B funding and grants. Here we go.
Okay, so, this year, the idea of the application, the award amount for the preschool portion, which is 24,109. We were awarded, the previous year, 11,801, and then for the current fiscal year, 11,931, with a total of 23,732. And so what we use a 0.12 FTE for administrative costs, pretty much, of doing all of the payroll and the salaries and POs and RFRs. And so that goes, we do that portion. And so the remaining amount will be 13,512 that goes to the REC, and then they do a lot of professional development and then other programs they provide for us as well.
Okay,
And then for the idea of being special education, as 24,106, we are getting, the grant is $156,830. And so we are able to pay 3 sped aids with that money, and then provide a stipend for the director and the CPI coordinator for that as well.
That's that crisis prevention, like how to hold a student. that-
no, okay, yeah, no,
Yes. And then we have a data reporting stipend. We have Letitia and Tiana that do that one for us. And then all the ERB and FICA and those things. And then REC 7 will get the remaining 25,940 And they use that money for professional development and human resources that we need to use to acquire all of that.
So what we don't do is it just goes to.
Yeah, we usually just keep the money for our payrolls.
Uh-huh.
In the previous years, we've been able to fund 7 of our aides, and now we're only able to fund 3. So they're still trying to figure out our carryover on that part. So you see that we're really getting some carryover from preschool, but we haven't gotten any carryover just yet for this next school year. That hasn't been awarded to us yet. So for right now, we only have 3 aides, and then all the rest of them will be operational. And so in the application, it does require that the president sign and superintendent and the sped director, and then we also have to do a parent involvement, which I already contacted our parent, which is Iris, Bayvon, right? Yeah, so we contacted her. She has been our go-to person that Mrs. May has been using in the past years, and so she came by and I went over the, yes, as a parent, yeah, and so I went over the application with her as well, and she signed with that, and she's just involved in a lot of things there with that program, and so a lot is recommended her. And so that is pretty much what we're doing with that money there. We just needed signatures for that, and then we have to upload minutes into the application before it can be fully executed, and then they start dispersing funds to us.
So for, and I just wrote down some numbers that you gave me, but is there any way we can see those numbers to share with the members that aren't here?
Yeah, I have the,
Just shoot us a copy or an email or something?
yes,
just-
yeah, I have them all broke down like this. Yeah, so I can definitely send that to you.
See what you.
Yeah, I mean, I get the numbers for sure.
I read the space one.
Yeah, I know, same. Anyway, okay, I think we get the gist of it, right?
Sure.
Okay, so I suppose we need a motion to approve the application, and you have the application in
Yes.
hand and ready to go.
Yes, ma'am.
You just need some signatures, so you're gonna have to wait for Mr. Ross. And you'll catch Mrs. Art, did you say the secretary?
No, just the superintendent and then the sped director.
Yep, okay, so you'll catch them, you probably already signed.
I'm hard to catch. No, I think I don't think I signed it actually.
No, yeah, nobody else except for
Okay.
Iris.
Nobody shoved it in front of me yet.
Okay, it's done.
It's coming.
Okay, so I guess we need a motion to approve the application as it is and go out for signatures.
I make a motion to approve that.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Okay, that brings us to 5C, or D, or whatever you want to call it. Mr. Little is up to inform us of policy service advisories, nope, sorry, mine, 2025, 2026, high school handbook adoption, which is coming later for a vote in about 20 minutes.
And what it is, he's highlighting the changes to it.
Okay.
Everything else is the same.
Yes, so you approved this last year, everything that's not here, so anything that's here is an addition or change. And I start with the first page, it's basically the message from the principal. Their motto for the year is to succeed, you gotta show up. If you read that, there's a lot more showing up than just showing up.
Physically and mentally.
Yes.
It's pretty good,
I
actually.
don't wanna read it all, do you want me to read it to you? Welcome to the new school year. We are excited to have you as part of our school community where every day is an opportunity to grow, learn, and succeed. Our motto this year is simple but powerful. To succeed, you gotta show up. This message is about more than just being present in the building. It's a reminder that success, whether in the classroom, on the field, on the stage, or in life, begins with showing up. Showing up means being present, being prepared, being engaged, and giving your best effort every single day. We believe every student has the potential to achieve great things, but that potential is only realized through commitment, consistency, and effort. When you show up with a positive attitude, a willingness to learn, and a readiness to grow, you are setting yourself on a path to succeed. This year, let's commit to showing up for ourselves, for each other, for our future. Together, we can make it a year of meaningful progress, strong connections, and personal achievement. Let's get to work. Your success starts now.
Pretty think that's great, I'm glad you read it, because we didn't have it prior, so I think that's wonderful.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, Nicole. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
The second page is actually page 6 in the handbook, and it's the bell schedule. And it's basically changed because we had to add some minutes required by the state. And we added, 5 minutes,
It was
yes.
5 minutes, that's what it boiled down to.
It made a big difference over the whole year to get all of our hours in.
So instead of getting out at 3:50, we'll get out at 3:55.
Okay.
The next page is the upcoming school year calendar.
And if you'll look at that on the 4th, 5th, and 6th of August, we had to actually have students start on the 7th, is that right?
Yes.
The 7th and 8th. To get all of our days, we would have to either go in July or stay till after Labor Day. Memorial Day.
July.
In July, no.
July. We wouldn't start in July.
You have to start in July if we didn't start that week.
Yeah.
And I think people would rather not start in July.
No.
But you're right.
Actually, Lovington is, and Hobbs did last year.
Yeah.
But Hobbs learned their lesson is not taking the year with their class, and there's another.
Causes having to go after Memorial Day.
But they're having to go up to Memorial Day because our hours give us more flexibility than the 5 days.
Wow, we're winning.
Yeah, but we crammed it all in, and that's why it's changed even a little bit.
The next page, 17 in the handbook is, this is what we did this year, but I didn't have it in the calendar because it was kind of an experiment. I let the seniors that basically have what is more of a traditional college schedule, where they're only on campus when they're in class. And the reason I did that is over the years, I learned that seniors, when their senior year, unless they're here to take care of business, they probably don't need to be here because they're just
Forcing them there is not productive.
it's pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Forcing them to be there when it's not a credit attached to it is futile.
I
When you're-
It's a carrot for them and they know it can be taken away from them and so they really behave well. They're like, yes, sir.
Because oftentimes seniors don't have much to lose,
No.
you know, I mean, you gotta look.
So senior attendance policy at Yale High School, seniors who have met all academic requirements and need 4 to 6 credits to graduate may schedule accordingly and are only required to be on campus during their assigned class times.
That's perfect.
This flexible scheduling is intended to support college and career readiness, work-based learning opportunities, and personal responsibility during the final year of high school. This privilege is granted at the discretion of school administration and is contingent upon the student remaining in good academic and behavioral standing. Seniors must adhere to the following guidelines. Seniors must attend all scheduled classes and any required meetings or school activities. Seniors must sign in and out at the office when arriving on or leaving campus outside of traditional hours. Any abuse of this privilege, including excessive absences, tardiness, or disciplinary issues, may result in the revocation of the flexible schedule and to return to a full-day school schedule. This policy complies with New Mexico Public Education Department NMPED regulations regarding minimal instructional time and graduation requirements. By participating in this program, students and parents acknowledge that this arrangement is an earned privilege, not an entitlement, and that school administration reserves the right to modify or revoke the flexible schedule at any time in the best interest of the student or school community. The next page is basically, in this last legislature, they changed the graduation requirements for the incoming freshman class, which will be beginning with the class of 2029. So my changes were basically to leave the original stuff in there and to basically state that it's for 26, 27, 28 graduates. But for the incoming class of 2029, this is the new requirements. 4 credits of English, which is no different than now. 3 must be sequenced. In other words, like an out English 1, an English 2, or an English 3 in a row. And that 4th one could be like any other English class that we offer. 4 credits of math must include a sequence of Algebra 1 and geometry or equivalent integrated pathway. Algebra 1 may be taken as an 8th grader now. It could have been in the past, actually, but we haven't offered it. 3 credits of science, 2 must include a lab component. 4 credits of history. That's a change. It was only 3.5. And so it's 4 now. 1 credit of physical education, 1/2 credit of health, which may also be taken in the 8th grade. That's new. So that is something that we do offer in junior high, and we'll probably just go ahead and get them that credit when they're in the 8th grade.
And the good thing about all of our extracurricular, I mean, not extracurricular, but like, you've got theater, you've got culinary, you've got oil and gas, you've got all those other classes and things we have, it kind of clears that away in 8th grade, so they're not trying to get a health credit instead of being able to do shop classes.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, it really is a good thing to get where they can do more of
Jump on it.
the fun stuff. They can do that later on.
7, 5 and 1/2 credit of electives must provide a 2 credit pathway concentration of the student's choice, like shop 1, shop 2, culinary 1, culinary 2, rockets 1, rockets 2. Now, the next one is basically the district's choice, which comes down to the board. I chose these two. If you don't like it, you can let me know. These are 2 things I think that are extremely necessary. 8 and 9, sorry. 1 credit of computer science that integrates artificial intelligence. I think that is
It's coming.
it's coming
It's in our face,
fast. And by the time these kids graduate, they better have it. I listened to a couple of different people talk about it that are experts. They're saying we better change the way we actually think. It's no longer derived equations, they're already done. You better learn how to take knowledge that that something's gonna give you real quick and use it for business or whatever you do.
The research is automatic, so you don't have to do any of that, but you have to take credit.
And know how to deal with it
And how to
and
run
use
with
it.
it.
Yes, for sure. Good.
And I have already got one of our teachers, Miss Mott teaches our freshman computer class. She's going to be in an online artificial intelligence for teachers to learn how to teach artificial intelligence. We don't even know what that looks like yet. So, we're on top of trying to figure that out. And then the other thing I felt like every student should have before they graduate, because if I had had it, I would have made lots of different choices in life. I probably would already be actually retired and not working.
Financial literacy.
1 credit of financial literacy, if we do the Dave Ramsey,
Yeah.
and I think every kid should take that. They learn how to invest money, they learn how to take care of, learn about insurance,
I
all
think
of
it's
those
awesome.
things.
That Dave Ramsey class has been fantastic.
So anyways, that was my suggestion for the district, 2 requirements. And that's it on those.
And that, of course, is the ultimate decision of the board.
Yes.
So if there's something you guys are thinking like, wait a minute, what about that culinary? I mean, y'all can make it anything. Any elective, you can make a requirement to graduate. So think about that. And this is the thing, just because you approve it today, don't mean it can't be revisited. You guys are the authority. You can.
Yeah, these guys
You can
graduate in 4 years, they don't like it.
If y'all see something in the handbook, you can revisit it at any time, just bring it up, and we'll get it on the agenda. Just because if you approve the handbook today, doesn't mean you can't go back.
Right.
And I'm not opposed to that, those are just my thoughts. Whenever I look into the future and I see what kids graduating and being in this business for 31 years and seeing kids that have graduated, I think for sure they need the financial literacy. They learn how to take care of their money. And futures.
That could hurt anybody, so.
Yeah. The next page, on page 31, graduating, the honor board, there's a row of pictures in the hallway. So every year, in the past, the students made a 90 or above and all of their grade point average, they got their picture on that. It's getting where we have so many kids that are doing that, the space is becoming very collapsed quick because we're having to do 3 big frames or 4 big frames. So this was actually brought to me by some teachers, and they thought we should move that requirement to 95. So
Where was it?
90 now. Yeah. So that was,
Is that highest honors or high honors?
it's
Or
just the honors
in
board.
general? Okay.
The highest honors and stuff doesn't
Used
change.
to have 2 different.
There was high and
Highest.
highest.
There still is, but that doesn't get you on the picture. Those requirements they're in the handbook, they're not in here. You have to memorize the highest and
What the difference in highest and high ones?
I think it's 85 is a high honor and 92 maybe.
yeah, I think it was 85.
Is the highest honors.
Maybe now it's.
But-
That sounds right.
But there was a different requirement to get your picture on the wall,
Right.
other than those 2.
Yeah,
Okay.
And that's what he's referring to.
yeah, this is completely separate.
Okay.
So that was suggested, and I agree with it because we're 12, 15 kids are getting pictures up there.
Well, graduation requirements have changed so much over the last few years that it's kind of allowed kids to get higher grades based, and they're not having to take as difficult of
AP
courses.
type of courses,
Yes.
okay. So, yeah, I agree with raising that standard.
Yeah, we're trying to raise the standards throughout the school, so it's all kind of more along with what we're doing. The next page, general announcement, is just a change. Basically, it used to say at the beginning of first period, we do that at the beginning of second period, now after nutrition break. And I actually, in that schedule, built in 2 extra minutes in second period so we can do the announcements. And then the next page, 40, prom regulations, it was just a change. This actually changed 2 years ago to where it was no longer just juniors and seniors. They started letting all high school students come to junior prom because the attendance wasn't great. This last year, there was a lot. There was a lot of kids there. So now it says only high school students, not 11th and 12th grade is what it used to say.
Okay.
And then on the next page, the Scholar Athlete Award, this kind of became, it didn't become an issue, but could have become an issue. I can see it becoming an issue in the future. Student athletes who meet the following requirements, and I added this, and attend classes at Jow High School will receive a Scholar Athlete Award. And they get like a scholarship for that, $100. I'm not sure what it is, but it didn't say that. So if we had a student that lived in Jow and was homeschooling, but participated in athletics, the parents were like, well, why don't they get that same scholarship? Well, they're not taking our classes. Homeschool classes, a lot of them, some of them don't even go to school, that's good grades.
Right.
So I think it should be apples to apples, not apples to oranges. So I added that they must be students in Jow High School, and that is all of the changes.
Okay.
Any questions?
No, sure.
I don't have any questions, but I think they all sound great.
Sure.
Thank you.
Just a little more meat to them, a little more teeth to them, so I think it's great.
Thank you.
Uh-oh. Awesome.
I will, leave it to you guys.
Okay, thank you so much.
The one that I don't have to be here the whole meeting for, I'm gonna try to sneak it out.
Okay.
Enjoy your evening.
Thank you.
See you, Silver.
Yes, sir. Are you back? Okay. Oh, shoot.
But he's a, shoot that. K2 road, probably,
Oh, is that heard on these calls?
Oh, wow, he's way out there, he's working up a red road.
He was on the way home.
Okay, so we don't need him this second anyway, right? We don't need a motion,
No,
we just,
we're
it's just
voting on it.
information at this point,
Yes.
so we can move on and we'll vote in a little bit.
Sure.
He gets here and we'll see how it goes.
Yes, yeah, we moved it down to I.
Your call has been forwarded to an
Okay,
Okay,
that
so.
takes us to item number 6. You guys,
You're
you're up.
doing good, perfect.
All kinds of updates.
It's good to be back out.
Last month was a little crazy with all the rain.
Yeah, we're still trying to walk through all that, work through all that. Full screen here. I think we'll start off with the schedule like we always do. And I'll say Lasco can kind of just jump in, Robert, and then whenever there's something on the slide that we're talking about, or if you all have questions that are directed to them, I'll run through this. Right now, we're showing the athletics site that's outside of, the actual indoor athletic project.
RJ, can I interrupt you for
Yeah.
one second, but backtrack a little? Did you guys get the high school handbook in your email? I sent you the entire handbook.
I didn't look, well, I didn't start to look, but I was trying to.
So you got it, yeah?
I'm
So
sure
if
it's
you guys watching, you can review, I'm just saying that after, let it all sink in and look at everything again. Because sometimes if you look at the whole handbook, it kind of puts it all together with the red changes. When you get a chance, that is.
I don't see just that.
I didn't see it, but
Okay, because I think that it was sent to you just the handbook, I'm pretty sure. So I'll
today,
no, it's been like Thursday or Friday.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
I don't see
Oh,
it.
I see.
Oh, you sent
Okay.
it.
I'll check and make sure you got the whole book.
I see the packets. And maybe that's. came straight from you. June board meeting. Ellen, is that it?
Yes,
Okay.
there should be. I'll make sure you did get it, because I may not have sent it to you. Let me look at the entire thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your call has been forwarded to an item.
Okay.
All right,
RJ,
So, the lighter colors show some of the extensions, and then there's little notes that talk about why there's been extensions, but you see if you have, I'm sorry?
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
That's the question.
yeah, so you can see the athletics side, they're trying to finish it by June. Right now, we're still waiting on the, Excel to replace that, electrical pole, and it sounds like they were on site, they went and walked it. Some of their ideas were a little funky, so they're planning on doing it in the next few weeks, but we're gonna try to talk to them about, they're trying to place the transformer right in the middle of the promenade. So they're gonna remove a pole, put a transformer there. So previously they told us they could put it in the parking lot or even better across the street. And so we're gonna try to get them to stick to that. The other thing they're doing is the replacement of the sewer line in between the gym and the bleachers. So that wasn't scheduled to be replaced. We're gonna cover it up with pavers, but it's a good time to go ahead and just replace it. So I think they're almost done with that. They're gonna be able to cover it up pretty soon.
During that line that he's talking about, we had to tie 4 more lines that come off the existing gym into that. And, they were current material, but the grade change made them where they're gonna be too shallow, so we're having to dig and put those in as well. And I'm hoping it'll be done tomorrow.
So yeah, the things that have pushed that are now, hopefully wrapping up and can finish by August. I know August 1st is the goal, but, definitely before the first game on August 22nd. So, I mean, hopefully they'll be tidying up, for that first game. But providing some type of access August 1st. Anything else preventing that? I know we're talking about a few grade issues. Our engineer's gonna be here tomorrow to walk some of the grades to make sure we get it all worked out on the east side and in between the gym and the bleachers. So hopefully we'll have them able to install pavers and concrete the next couple weeks.
Yeah, if we can get some answers on those grade busts, we can do them correct.
Admin vestibule, it's pretty close to being done. It sounds like we might look at doing a different flooring surface in the vestibule itself to give it a little.
We've got a little bit of work to do up top, I just
Okay.
gotta free up some carpenters.
So I showed that one going into August, but it's gonna be small stuff, it's pretty well complete. Obviously wrapping up these projects is still the goal, so by then hopefully there will be no more work remaining. Showing August on the baseball restroom edition, the hard part is that we don't know the grades of the new road. So we're supposed to install a new asphalt parking lot, but we don't want to install it too high and we don't want to install it too low whenever the city installs. They said that they should have a design, I think, by the end of summer, early fall. And so right now, we're thinking we might finish the baseball building itself, but still just wait on the parking lot to ensure that there's not any weird grade things that happen whenever that road's designed.
Where's the road? The new road.
Existing, but
Very
they're
good,
widening
yeah.
it, and
Oh,
they're
so that's
changing
the whole, okay.
Yeah,
We're changing
the access
grade of it,
road.
so we don't want where the road runs into the parking lot.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to adjust the grade
So
based
they're
on
addressing
their
that
final.
entire Merriman Drive.
Yes.
Yeah, Merriman Drive.
Their
That's the
final
road that
elevation
we're-
is what we have to go off of for the property.
Yeah. So we have it based on existing, and we know for sure they're probably not gonna go off of existing. I mean, they're gonna fix the new road to drain better, so we have to make sure we
And
drains on
another,
first.
I have received nothing from the city manager on the water line. Because they were, they discovered that it was a lot cheaper than what they told us. So I still don't have any kind of updated cost on that. So we can't proceed. So my my thing is going to be my issue, just letting you guys know now, if they come in saying, we needed that yesterday, well, I have not received anything, they've done this before, and then they want us to move quicker. Right. It's gotta wait till the next board meeting, whenever that is. So if I'm gonna talk, I'll talk to Wes when I see him, just haven't seen him, and tell him, as soon as you know, I've already reminded him enough times that I'm just waiting for him to give us a number. That's where we're at, just to let you know.
All right, big one that's changed here too is the elementary edition. You know, the goal was to move in this summer. And right now, if you can see it across the street, it's not ready for that. And so getting inspection inside of the building proper triggered the inspector to say, we can't look at this because you haven't resubmitted these drawings to the state, which they haven't required before. Used to, if we had a main permit pulled on a facility and we weren't drastically changing the floor plan and the scope, which we did add and changed a little bit in the existing elementary proper, we didn't have to pull another permit, but they asked that we resubmit the changes that were done, and they wouldn't look at any of the footings or the steel or anything until that permit was reapproved. So we lost probably 6 to 8 weeks on having to reapply for a permit for a job that's been under construction for 18 months and was never mentioned. I mean, this has been part of the plan since 3 months into the project, but now the state's just cracking down. I guess they've been bitten on projects that have had major changes and not get it resubmitted, that now even minor changes, they're saying you have to resubmit for a permit at the state for even minor changes. So they won't even approve electrical in a wall if the wall's been moved and hasn't gone back to the state. So it's getting, which now we know, so when we make those major changes now, we're 6 to 8 weeks of resubmitting for a permit, but that held up that project quite a bit. Junior high edition, we're looking at May 2026. Currently that one, the delays, I think they moved quite a few people over to the athletics projects when they were trying to knock it out. They moved people to the elementary projects when they were trying to move faster on those. I don't know, is there anything else that is, because I don't really have a note on the junior high.
On junior highs, steel delivery.
Yeah,
And we're working on it. I have the same steel guys. And I've used them for 30 years and I've never had any trouble out of them. They're like everybody else, short-handed, and the steel's trickling to us as they're building. Yeah. You'll notice part of it's decked, part of it's not. I don't have the angle iron to put the rest of the decking on, and they're aware of it. I have them every day. And as soon as they get it production and get it delivered, we can keep going. I've got people working over there, it's just not making a big show.
Wow.
No, we're working on it every day.
right now, same thing, the oil and gas, it was triggered at the state for a permit, even though we already had a bus barn permit. Whenever we thought, oh, we're just gonna renovate a portion of the building that's right next to the bus barn, we'll just add it to the project because it's a smaller renovation. The inspector came out and said, I'm not gonna look at this until it's gone to the state. So they were supposed to have that one done, the oil and gas temporary lab, by June. But when you gotta send to the state for 6 to 8 weeks of review on a small metal building finish out, which just seems crazy to me that you'd have to redo that, but
And they just started this crazy.
they just started, yes. So before, 6 months ago, before we had run into that with the elementary school, we could make changes here or there. And used to, if you were changing 10 to 15% of the project, you didn't have to reapply for a permit. But now they're at the point where if you're changing 1%, it seems like they're requiring that.
Well,
The
these are-
inspectors have been told if it's not on the drawings that they have, then they can inspect.
If it's not got a red stamp on it, when they come out to inspect our stuff, if we don't have a sheet with a red stamp from the state, that's what else.
So, yeah, I mean, that's new requirement, because we've done, I mean, all these projects.
Robert and I've been building around
decade-
here for 30 years and I've never seen it slow down.
Yeah, so something
We
really
must be
happened.
really bored up there for a
Something's going on in Santa Fe,
something.
because it really, our new inspector, he walked in and said, I can't look at that. And I had him explain it to me why. He said, well, it's like this, y'all made changes on here, but they're not on the drawing, and I get it. He said, I can't look at a blueprint and say, you can't put that in, I can't inspect it because it hasn't been approved by the state, so. And like I said, it used to be 10% and under, and now, I mean, it's, any changes they're making, they're wanting documentation of it.
Yeah.
And I
It'd
think.
just be nice if they notified us, you know, when they change their standards.
Well, kind of like the floodplain stuff that they didn't notify us.
I think that's,
It's red tape from all over.
Well, that's the
Even
next-
The county is
See, address it.
red tape.
It's the next thing, the bus barn, is that the bus barn's outside of the main floodway, but Lee County still required that we prove that it's outside the main floodway because we had some buildings that were inside the main floodway. Well, I think we've already talked about this, but we submitted to the state and we got permits on all of these. And Lee County saying, well, the state shouldn't have given you a permit without going through us first to get floodway approval. So now we all know that we have to go to Lee County first and then the state knows they can't review anything unless it has Lee County's approval first. And even the Lee County FEMA flood coordinator said, you know, this was a breakdown in communication and protocol, and, you know, now we all know, but that held up the bus barn and the storage building had to get certificates. We've also been using the storage building area for laydown, and then we're also looking at adding an AC for storing some of the drones and stuff. So right now, the storage building's pushed off a little bit. I don't think anybody has deemed it a critical facility at this point. The bus barn is more critical to get done.
And we did have a floodplain study done on that last flood because the insurance company even said, so we're gonna cover $1 million loss. Is this just gonna happen in, I don't know if it will or not, I mean, we're all getting worried about it too, you know,
Yeah.
making sure
I've got slides.
the mud doesn't wash across there even.
Yeah.
But in the process, we're discovering a whole new way that we're supposed to be doing it that wasn't there before.
Yeah.
On the approval, but the floodplain study did find that the neighbor that's been complaining about somehow that it's our fault, that it was actually the neighbor's change of elevation of his property has caused ours to be worse, not the other way around. The finding is that he is more at fault than we are. I mean, I don't know, if are you going with that too?
Yeah,
Okay, all right, so not naming names, but,
And then we're showing the oil, gas, Autotech, and team room at August 2027 right now. So that's it, you know, everything bids out in this fall and you actually pull the trigger. You know, we talked about adding the team room and then seeing what it came in as cost-wise, and then y'all deciding if you want to move forward on both oil, gas, and team room, or if you want to do just oil and gas. So that's still kind of the plan for that. Any questions overall? I've got more pictures to kind of update these projects. So I think this is the same slide we've seen, looking at, we're bidding some of the concession canopy lighting and ceiling, and then also the visitor locker and storage room addition, which we've got a change order for today. We're designing the oil and gas CT expansion, designing the team room, and then last on the list, we're looking at grading around the steps of the auditorium. Right now, there's been so many other hot items that we really haven't made much progress on the auditorium, but we're working on these pretty hot and heavy, all 4 of these right now. So current projects, you can see this is the baseball, and Merriman runs over here, and then, you know, this is the parking lot that we're needing to try to join to Merriman. And you see just the insulation, and it's getting all finished out. And right now, based on the project, or progress, I think there's no reason to think it won't be complete by the end of the summer.
No, it's moving nicely. In fact, I got art ceiling being installed now, and those pictures are.
Pretty old, yeah. Yeah, that was what I did from last month, actually.
That's a lot further
Updating. Y'all seen the brick outside the elementary school, and even some of these are out of date, because I know they've got rebar right now for this wall, and they've got fencing in at the athletics. Oh, there you go, that's kind of what I was talking about there. So installing, there's gonna be concrete that goes around it that has a little bit of an invert to help water, go around the north side of the stadium there. And then this is the sewer line that we were talking about. Those are the tie-ins that they added, which is keeping from being able to finish out this courtyard area. Then there's the dirt pile that pushed all the water into Brian's backyard whenever.
And the last time it rained, it flooded my yard because of the way they had the dirt.
Yeah,
But I didn't
Try to-
complain, I didn't sue them.
prevented that.
I'm being very patient.
The irrigation for the grass.
Showing that. Showing some of the finished work in the elementary, you can see they're getting kind of initial coats of paint and such. There'll be a drop-in ceiling in a lot of these spaces, so these will get covered up pretty quickly. This is showing that's the hallway where they had to demo out some of the existing and where we had to get a new permit to be able to work in this space. And then Bus Barn's got the pad there ready to go.
So RJ, we go back one.
Yeah.
Because this, kind of looking ahead, just remember this picture on the left here, because that's gonna come into one of the action items on what you're gonna have to approve.
Today.
Yes.
Frazzle. No, what?
No, I was
But it's, when we go to explain why we have this for an action item, it has to do with this picture here on the left.
Okay.
Bus Barn. Then the junior high, you can see the commons and steps there where they'll have kind of that learning commons. And the steel being complete. Y'all definitely seen that admin vestibule. All right, so that's just kind of a breakdown of what we've been working towards. I think y'all approved part of this because we were wanting to do more analysis on the flood study to ensure that we can expand the concession and storage area, or not the concession building, and add the larger locker room that really fit a full football team. I think previously y'all had went ahead and added the canopy in front of the concession so you could have a covered eating area, and then the indoor added an office and an electrical room, and there were some additional electrical requirements that might be on my next slide, but.
And that was a total of 4.5, and they've approved about half of that.
Yeah, they've approved 2, and then we've got 2.7, so I guess it's 2.7 million. But I've got an explanation after the flood study on that. So we did a overlay that shows what happened in the 2025 flood event. Here, you can see that's represented by kind of that lighter teal color. And then this was, the darker is really the flow through that existed. So this dark shows just a lot of the existing flow, and then the lighter color shows some of the additional impact that happened as a result of the construction, really. This is the flood study. And so, yeah, so you can see incomplete during construction, it has kind of grown a little bit, but after construction actually is the dark blue. You can see this area all is removed from the flood area.
And where is that? Is that?
This
where
is
the oil
your
and gas?
house right here.
Oh, that's not oil and gas, that's.
Yeah, no, that's, the gym is here, and then that's your house. So this light blue area actually goes away after construction is complete, because the alleyways start to take more of that floodplain water away. So you can see this is kind of brighter here because that's taking the water here, taking it out down the street here and taking it through here. But we overlaid it to show what happened during the recent event. And that's what happened during that
So
recent event.
It was just horrible timing.
Yeah, it was really bad timing. Once these alleyways are able to take the floodplain waters, then there'll be a much better result.
So it literally reduces the floodplain?
Yes, it'll reduce the floodplain, and that's what this one on the right, it shows, the red to yellow is a reduction in the floodplain, so, from what it was originally to what it is, will be after. This is completely going down about 2 feet, actually on the red. This yellow is going down between half a foot and a foot in these areas. And then you're actually able to go up 1 foot in elevation in a floodway. So this is all part of the floodway and will flood, but this will flood less than 1 foot in this area on the east. So it shows quite a bit of reduction here and a little bit of increase here. What Brian was talking about is this little area here that's higher, that's kind of a pinch point to this side here, that's caused a lot of this water to come in through here and then go up there. And
The old Runnels Mud Company yard.
Yeah, and a lot of this site has actually been raised up, so it's within the floodway and it's been raised up, and the more you raise up, the land within the floodway, the more it pinches it in. So with this being raised up and having this pile of debris here, that has also caused a pinch point. So being able to lower some of this would definitely help. But this is the study that we did to show the reduction or the mitigation below a foot. It's within FEMA regulations of a floodway. I've got a video that kind of helps this better. All right, so let's see if I can, this was before the projects. I can't figure out how to get it to play, because it is a video. Post projects. I don't know if it's because it's a video within the system here. I might have to get out of this program and just open up the regular PowerPoint. Is it everybody's here now, right? Can I, let me see if that works actually here. Let me see if I can
Leave it live.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can reduce it up there.
All right, let's see. Can't read. Guess I should have tested this out. I didn't think about it. It's like I made sure they sent me the video because it really explains it the best. Try again. Okay, so yeah, this shows kind of that water flowing and, it shows it coming across here, a majority of it, and how it kind of it went over some of Brian's yard here. And then some of the pinch points that were happening, but a majority of the water really flowing this way and coming across the site versus he was saying, this neighbor over here was saying that we were sending water from your land onto his, and really the only, no, is that?
What is that?
Interesting.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, you can see, I'll go back a little bit. You can see there is some water that's coming in onto his land, but all the water that reaches y'all's actually flows over to Brian's house, or to the alley. And so that's why we're doing the alley improvements in the first place, because we want to grab this water and then take it down the alley. We're doing alley improvements here too, because right now it can come from here and then eventually come back into his land. But the alley improvements are gonna help with that and help prevent it, because it'll actually have, there's not curbs and such out there now. This alley will have curbs on both sides, be able to, and the invert in the middle, be able to funnel the water.
And it also makes it where the concession on the south end is not causing more of a problem with the water. It's actually helping to mitigate the problem to where we can build onto it and build the building behind it. Because it was just an empty field, remember, nothing was there. And in order to do that, that was the whole point in the pavement. Is getting that water away from that
So I
facility.
know it's kind of hard to tell, but previously there was a lot coming through here, and now there's dramatically more. And this is a 100-year event, so this would actually be more water than what y'all saw a couple of weeks ago. And this would actually reduce how much would be flooding in those areas. So this is kind of a worst case scenario, and it dramatically improves the circulation through the alleys in the worst rain event. And so that's what our engineers, the conclusions they've come to, and the study that they had to perform to meet the FEMA regulations. So
And the city has seen this too.
the city has not seen this. We've shared the previous maps with the city, but we definitely are fine sharing this. And this also shows how even with the, this is the indoor facility, and this is the extension and everything of the concession building, and it's showing that how that water comes around, still not showing this water being thrown onto adjacent properties.
So RJ, is that gonna allow for the additions on that athletics then?
Yes, yeah, that's what the study is analyzing. It still doesn't raise the floodway past the threshold that FEMA allows.
And now what FEMA or the state or the county, they have endorsed this? They're okay. I mean, are they approving of this too?
So they require us to do the analysis and affirm that it does not raise the floodplain more than 1 foot. And so our engineers have done the study and affirmed that. If they want more information, then we can provide them more information.
And that's the requirement what we do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Because you know how that is. Like, well, you do all your stuff, but it's still not.
right. All right, so that's the flood. We've had multiple meetings with JD Norby, the city's contractor and semi-engineer that oversees all the projects. We've had our engineers come out and do analysis, take pictures, study what happened. We've had a couple of reports that have been done, and then we've actually had a new survey because, we surveyed a lot of these alleyways and such 3 years ago, and some of them have experienced erosion, and we saw some things at Brian's around kind of that back alley up next to Brian's house that were a little different than what we thought it would be doing as far as the water goes. So right now they're doing an updated survey to make sure that when they install that alley, it drains way better than it ever did. So it should be dramatically improved after it's complete, was everything that we've kind of concluded based on everything our engineers have looked at.
And I really think it's necessary in the event that a neighbor says, y'all are causing this, we actually have proof that says, no, we're not.
Yeah.
We're helping this, so basically, if we don't have that, it's gonna come up time and again, anytime somebody gets too much water on Chester Street, my street, the other alley, those businesses, they're gonna blame the school, they're gonna try. That's just the,
Well, we're covered with the county as well, right?
that'll be the natural inclination, yeah. But now it's covered with the county, with FEMA, the state, the hurricane.
Yeah,
They can-
Somebody else.
Then, we come through.
that's the goal, for sure.
For the record, that was Grady's phone.
I wasn't here, they did, I can't hear.
All right, so outside of the floodplain, and then you'll have an action item for the second part. Now that we've done the analysis and the flood study has shown that we can do the additions to the concession at a cost of $2.599,120,000. That's yeah, and then, yeah, how many cents? 43 cents. I've included this slide that just kind of outlines what you've already approved, which was change order 1. That canopy, the AC for this concession stand. Right now it has an air conditioner, it can't keep up with all the equipment in there, and those poor people running it are getting pretty hot. So they want their own controls that's not doing everything else. It seems like the restrooms and the commons area stays okay, but since it's all on one thermostat, just in one unit, it's not keeping up. So this will get them that. The previous one you approved got that in there, and then also some of the lighting issues we had.
And RJ, that leaves the existing system in place too, right?
Yes,
So we're
yeah.
not adding extra
Yeah.
money on something that's not our fault.
No,
Okay, I thought it was.
No, that leaves that in place, and so now you'll be able to get all the facility extra cool, and so hopefully you won't have
Helping out.
any concession workers sweating, is the goal. Change order 2, that would be what we're talking about tonight, adding the locker room addition, adding the storage room, modifying the ramps and the approaches and some of the canopies even right above the ramps and stairs. And then adding some accent lights as well around the facility. I have a zoom in, so this is kind of what was part of what was approved last time. And then some rooms inside of the indoor itself. These are what we're talking about approving tonight. We weren't sure if we were gonna be able to add them based on the floodplain, but now it is possible to fully expand these areas of the concession building. And this kind of shows you what was approved last time versus what's being approved to really finally complete these. And I don't think, we didn't capture it, but this was added as well as part of it. This is a little shade louvers to really tie in. When we added those, we didn't want them to look like, they were added on later in an afterthought. So this ties in that new addition all the way across, and then provides a little shade above the steps and ramps, and really makes the facility look whole from the spectator's perspective. So some of these things, it's like, I wish we would have got it earlier, obviously, and been able to do it. But now that we've gotten to this point, it's gonna add that, the sprinkles and icing on the cake for sure.
Next level.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that is the end of everything I have. Is there anything that we need to touch back on or review?
I'm good with it.
Okay, perfect. Well, moving forward, at least anything y'all you wanted to add, Robert?
Now you explained it all.
Make sure Grady has his hearing aids next time.
It was Father's Day yesterday, I had so many grandbabies, I was like, I better get.
All right, we'll go back to that. There you go.
All right,
Appreciate it. Yep.
thank you all.
And RJ, with that presentation, was emailed to me, correct?
I'm sorry?
Was that presentation?
Yes, it was.
And you guys got me.
forwarded it.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I want to make sure, because
I looked at it.
it's hard to stay on top of the latest, so you did, because I emailed it in the middle of the weekend, because that's when I got it, or Friday or something like that, whenever they sent it out to me. So the minute I got it, I think I checked it this weekend, and then I got it, I sent it to you. So, That way y'all,
There.
It was yesterday.
yeah, that way y'all can review all of this. and-
Yes.
10 o'clock.
Okay, perfect. But that's not the other link, what was the other link?
The other one's
Just
the
have
high school
that.
handbook. And I don't know what
I don't see that,
I may
I
not.
didn't get that.
Okay, I'll make sure y'all get that, because
It's
that's.
also elections.
yes, the election ones.
Yeah, I'll tell them to look at it when you want to. And then in the hard copy, if y'all want a hard copy, I can have Mr. Little bring one in at the first of school if you want to see the actual handbook
That would be helpful.
in its entirety, you know, with that.
Yeah.
That way you can look, you can always just refer to it. A lot of times you guys probably get questions asked, if a community member, and you can kind of look it up and see for yourself what it's
I
like.
guess it's online, it's on the website, right?
Yes,
So,
that's true, yeah.
yeah, I don't need to take.
Okay.
I carry a lot of paperwork every day.
I just want to make sure you guys have all the information that you need.
Okay, thank you for all the updates. A lot of good going on, a lot of delays, but we're gonna get through it. A lot of it is, just can't be helped. Nothing and,
I don't know if I missed that part or not, but on the delays, are they over with, or are we still?
no, I took a screenshot of his delay and it shows the time that each project is
Yeah, I saw that,
delayed
but like the paperwork.
and the reasoning for it, and if it's permits, you just can't rush.
Yeah, right now we've received.
Are we still waiting on county and
Elementary-
state and everybody to talk to each other?
I'm sorry?
Are we still waiting on county and state to talk to each other?
Actually, no, right now, the elementary, we've got the revised permit, we're able to work. On the bus barn, we've got the elevation certificate for the floodplain requirement that they have, approved,
Yeah,
and
last
so,
month there was a bunch of.
yeah, no, I think right now, they're being
And
really
oil and gas is
responsive.
proceeding as well.
Yes, yeah, we have a permit, re-permit for.
We actually are real close to having that sheet rock.
Okay, so everything's been resolved?
Yes, everything has been resolved, we're not waiting on any, approvals from the state or the county at this point.
And the work from home commenced.
Yeah.
So we're moving on.
So, good news.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Let's move on to number 7, sorry. 7A, new business consideration for adoption of the 2025 election resolution.
So I've got that labeled 7A
Yes.
in your packets.
Yep.
What this does is just approve the normal election cycle resolution. You'll do this every 2 years when there's a new election, because every 2 years, this time it's going to be Ms. Crawford's and Mr. Goss's positions. Next time it'll be the other three. But you do this every single time, every 2 years. And what it does, it just lays out the dates. So I also got another email today from the county, and I was gonna give this to you just for information. And it lays out the actual dates when declaration of candidates, when the actual election is, and it really is, it's really informative. But that's what this sheet is. It follows up to the resolution here. I just got it today.
Oh, August,
I saw this.
Yeah, so the declaration is actually August of candidacy.
yeah, August 26th.
And if you look at this, it goes over all the details on the proclamation about whose positions it's gonna be. Then it goes over the voting location for the school district at the Lee County, to be made available by the Lee County clerk. That's all of the details on the proclamation. The election procedures, it spells them out really clearly. And then it has who's supposed to certify it and look at it. And then it has at the end that you adopted it. And it is actually the president, vice president, secretary, and all the members that sign it
No, I just filled that in.
on the very last, okay.
What I need is
Signatures with the secretary.
voting for and then voting no. And
Oh.
then I need whoever motioned it and seconded it. That's what I need. So basically, it's all red tape and
Formalities.
details, formalities. The dates are there, and I don't know, we'll see who's running. Throws the name in the hat and all that later. August 26th, or right in September, and voting in November. So,
What is this? Oh, 6, because it's, like, why does it say Jamie Earl on top? But, second, I see. I need to read it.
And also send those two that are absent, that way they can have the schedule too, because Jim's position is actually one of them, so I wanted him to see that.
yeah,
The actual
position
dates.
one.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
nothing really to do here other than
Motion, make a motion.
make a motion to adopt.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Thank you for the cheat sheet.
Yes, that was the most helpful thing out of all of it to me.
Actually, screenshot it off your email.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like, what day is
I was
it?
like, ooh,
Okay. Item 7B, change order for the indoor athletic new addition to the concession stand 2.599 that we spoke about earlier. And it's right here, you have it. I believe. That's funny, well, that's not it.
Which is part 2 of the 4.5 million total.
Is that in here? It's not in there. That's not in the 7B. See the number, we're just
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about, we just saw it on the screen. But it's not in.
Okay, I can get you a copy of it. Oh, it's not there.
Are we okay with moving forward without seeing it?
Um,
I mean, we've heard it, we know what it's about.
Yeah, and I don't think it had a very long description. I think what I showed there was probably more descriptive than.
Actually, what you showed is more than the change order. Change order is one sheet of paper that just says how much it's gonna be with the scope on it, which is adding what we're adding.
Right.
In red and
Which
white.
is the storage in the concession,
Correct.
on the
Yes.
sides?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, what he had is a lot more information.
Okay, I'm okay with moving forward
I'm okay
without
with it.
seeing a piece of paper.
I'll make a motion.
I'll
I'll make a
second.
motion.
All in favor?
Right.
I'm sorry,
I can get it if you want. He's, copy of
I don't think we need it.
it. Are you looking at it?
All right, item C, this one is in there. Fiber net, or, I think it's in there, is it at the back? Did I put it? It's not in here.
I didn't see that either.
It should be in D. It's not.
I know that was.
I go B.
Thank you guys for coming, appreciate it. See you next time. Thank you for everything.
I don't see that, do you?
Not sure where it is, because nobody even has it.
No, not for a while.
No, but
It's not in there.
What do we staple to that?
The fiber network for D and D for that elementary, for the new building.
I got it on this. I got it.
Yeah.
Should we move on and come back to it?
He'll come, he's gonna get it, so.
We do have the Honeywell service contract, which is item 7D in front of us. That is for sure.
Yeah.
So, are we happy with Honeywell? Are we ready to renew and?
So, like always, their control system is okay, but their service is great. So when something breaks down and they come and fix it real quick, that is the most important.
Sure.
Yeah.
But being able to control things remotely, it's just coming around to the original. So it's improved from where it was before. It's still not excellent as their service.
That's the ticket. If
You
you're
smile,
happy.
we smile.
You deal with it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do
They
everything.
respond really quickly.
All right, so it's 2025, 2026 Honeywell HVAC service contract for $362,557.24. I need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
And that is an SB9 expenditure, which is.
Then we'll get that. I think it's probably easier for me to get it off my desk. Okay.
Yeah.
That one.
Oh, man, that was quick.
Okay, let's
Thank you,
come
sir.
back to,
That was C for.
Oh, I'll make 4, so.
and then I have one already. Thank
Thanks,
you.
sir.
Okay, so this goes back to that picture that I pointed out.
Yes, that hallway.
So all those, the wires ran across the top of the hallway. Well, that ceiling, or across the ceiling, that ceiling is going out because that's gonna be all opened up into the new addition. So this is to reroute all the wires underground, so we still have network and cameras and all.
Yeah, and they literally, up in the suspended ceiling everywhere in all the schools, you can't see it, there's a chrome raceway, it's just a chrome rack that's suspending all the wiring to the, there's all kinds of wiring in there, like fiber and stuff.
Yeah.
And so that reroutes it.
Yeah.
And to do that, they can't just reroute it, they've got to route it from over here to have a long enough cord, or long enough fiber optic line.
Yeah.
You can't slice that line and just add another extension, you have to rerun the entire fiber optic line, there's a new addition.
Yeah, the fibers of glass.
Yes.
Yes, ruins it when you try that.
Okay, any questions, any problems with $21,000 and change?
They need it,
Do D&D? I need a motion to approve.
I'll second.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Oh,
Second.
sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
We get it.
And then-
Hold on, and that's,
And that's Ed Tech where it comes out. I'm just kind of giving y'all where it comes out of usually, that way you'll know.
We figured that much for sure.
I'm not on anything.
Which is a good thing, really. Okay, item that takes us to 7E, district housing options discussion.
So last month, I gave you kind of a gamut of all of the different kinds of housing. So there's basically what it comes down to is the houses on Second Street are freestanding, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. The houses over there on the new construction are townhouses, basically with two units per unit, or two per structure. So we could go either direction depending on where we would put them in town if we wanted to continue. All of the houses now are spoken for, and we're not one short because one of the new teachers is gonna drive from Seminole for the theater class. So it's getting real close to needing more. I'm just saying it's like feeding a monster. However, it is money it's SB 9 money that we have enough. The thing about it is the more housing we develop, not buying other houses that families could buy. That's not a good deal because you're taking houses off the market for a teacher that a family could have moved into. It kind of blocks, the city's done it, the clinic's done it, we've done it. We're going away from that model. I've also talked to city and clinic. They're kind of trying to move away from that model where they're buying, it's easier just to go buy a neighborhood house, but it knocks that house off the market for a family to move into. So what we're trying to do is just develop new options. To develop the new option, for instance, we're still waiting on the electric meters. Everything's been inspected, everything is finished, and I still can't get 6 different employees into a house right now, just because we're bottlenecked waiting on an inspector. So what I'm saying is right now, where I don't see a clear and present, we gotta have it by, I think is the time to move on housing. So it's time to either decide, do we want a duplex model, or do we want individual houses like on Second Street? By doing that, you're also increasing income for future. Those can be rented to not just teachers if we ever have a surplus of housing. And that's income to the district that goes from SB 9 to it goes into a 12,000 account that keeps all the rest of the housing up, and that can be converted into district income. So in other words, you're creating income by using the SB 9 money. So my suggestion is that we add 2 or 3 more houses on Second Street, or they could be done, I have not talked to Woolworth Trust, but I'm sure they would probably be willing to let go of the lots for what they would purchase for on Second Street, which is $20,000 per lot. I don't know that, I have to talk to them, but our meeting is tomorrow morning. That's why I'm wondering if you guys want to pursue that. It's kind of like we need to look out ahead and do this at least a year ahead on developing a few more houses for the district. There are 18 right now. That's so you know.
How many lots are available right there?
There is 5 lots.
And you still
Yes.
look for price on
They're about 20,000 a lot is what we gave for everyone.
them? So we're looking at about 100,000.
So if we purchase
All
all
the
the
lots.
lots, yes. There's one in there, where Mr. Satterwhite, and then Carla, she works at the hardware store now. She lives on the other side. That's the only house we don't own that she bought from the Woolworth before the school bought the other. So there's 1 empty lot there, 2 across the street, and then 2 down the end of towards the end of the street, where Donna Jones lives. that way, there's 4 or 5. 5, I'm pretty sure it's 5 lots that the Woolworth still has down there. Then there is some acreage, like, it's like almost an acre across, right, you know where the old tennis courts are at General Camp, where the submarine, and everything is? Right there behind that, the Woolworth has that whole block, that whole lot right there.
Right in front of Lewis's house?
Yes, in front of Lewis's on one side and then his mom on the other. So it's that in the middle. So we also have that, if that needed to be something that would probably be a duplex model rather than the individual house model. So we could either finish out Second Street or buy it somewhere else complete, or purchase it from someone that's not even Woolworth, just empty lots. That would completely be up to what y'all want to do.
I don't think we're gonna find lots cheaper than that.
They're already developed and ready to go.
Yeah.
Because in General Camp, there's a lot more utility sharp, and it's not even paved.
And the way the city's going about it, dragging feet on everything, might be another issue.
And we've already got that on second. So that's up to you guys. Would you guys like me to pursue that? Get something in front of you that's real quotes? Because there's 3 of y'all, and maybe next month it'll be all 5, but what would you guys like? me
We don't
to-
have to decide on anything
You don't
tonight.
have to, I don't even have a quote or permission. I just don't wanna go and do all the footwork and get permission from Woolworth, and you're like, nah, we don't wanna do that right now. But, so what I'm saying is
On
that, you know,
Second Street, would it be single houses or would it be?
single to match the existing houses that are there. Yeah.
I think just have both, I mean, I'm speaking for me, have options of both and look at price wise and all that, and
I can get that.
maybe get together the board later, whenever we have to decide, but I'd like to see numbers to numbers
Okay.
on price wise.
And we're still waiting on a quote back for turf at the baseball park. So yeah, would y'all like me to pursue that and get you some options together with actual numbers to them?
I would like to see that, just one.
I'm gonna refer back to Mrs. Arp's comment in the minutes from last time. She wants the full board to be here present to discuss, so I don't want you to do all that legwork and they're not here to even,
Okay.
so it's up to you. If you wanna do that legwork and bring numbers back to us
Actually, the legwork is done on the house cost.
next time or whatever, but I'm.
Yeah, because
I'm
we've
just-
already done that, we've done both.
We've already got that. So I don't think it's much legwork.
It would be easier. to
So
talk
that way you
about
guys
if
have
we
some
had-
numbers attached to it. How about that?
If we had the numbers, it'd be easier to talk about them.
Okay, and then that way y'all can have a decision.
If we're even
Okay,
interested
so,
in-
but
Even, if we are even interested in pursuing either route.
Sure,
Okay.
Because we've already said several times.
sure.
But anyway, you can proceed if you want to, and we'll just wait for the others to be here and present and give us their.
I'll gather a little more information and then by the next meeting, hopefully we can look at it. And I'll leave it open-ended there where it could either be a decision or just a discussion for next time.
Probably gonna have to be just
Yeah.
at first, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Next item, 7F, Policy Service Advisories 265 to 269. That's not the one that
Yeah.
has, right?
that's
I
what
got-
as
I got a
This
little
is
summary here.
First read.
Cheat, this is just not something.
Yeah, we get a cheat sheet every,
Yeah.
here goes.
Cheat sheet. So this is gonna be the last page on this little cheat sheet here.
Okay, and this is, so this takes. No, this is 261, 262.
There, go to the last page on what I just handed you,
Okay,
which is right there.
oh, okay, I
Yeah.
gotcha, thank you.
Oh,
Okay, here's
okay.
261, 262.
Yeah, it's just kinda out of order based on how it was on the agenda.
Now, here we go, 265 to 269 on the back page.
Okay, so this is just, obviously a first read on these new policy advisories that came out here. So basically, we have 5 different things. 265 just adds a little reference on an existing policy already, and it's called the Cardiac Emergency Response Plan.
And it also is tied into the statute to require defibrillators.
Okay,
Which we already have,
We're already
many
compliant.
defibrillators. One of the other things on this is we had to develop a kind of like a response plan if we have to use an AED. So a cardiac event happens, who's responding to that?
Mhm.
Well, one good thing about that is we certify everybody in CPR and AED.
Every year.
It lasts for 2 years, so every other year, they have to get that. So we have many people that can respond to a cardiac situation if needed.
Okay.
So that's basically all that was, the 265 is, it adds a reference at the end of an existing policy. 266 has to do with, reading and how kids are supposed to be taught how to read. It's just a specific language in there that states, let's see, 266. That states students shall be taught to read using science of reading, structured literacy, and scientifically based reading instruction. Literacy instruction for English language learners shall include evidence-based practices for biliteracy, differentiation, and culturally and linguistically responsive instruction. So it adds that to an existing policy already. And our teachers already do letters training, which addresses a lot of these, and we, administration, Mr. Steiner and myself, has taken an AIM literacy coursework, and our principals are gonna go through that this year, and then if we like what we see, it's basically what AIM was used in Mississippi to turn around their educational scores. And so the Maddox has brought that into Lee County. We are gone through that. Our principals are gonna go through that. If we like what we see, then we'll start sending our teachers through that the next year and stuff, so.
And it's optional, but we're just trying to stay ahead of it.
Yeah.
Because it's, right now, it's something that we see the state coming down the pipe, and we might as well jump on.
Yeah, so basically, it's just some fancy jargon in there, on what we're already currently doing. 267 has to do with cell phones in the classroom.
Okay.
There's two alternatives to this. Alternative one, basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, states that it is up to the building principals to develop a policy with Mr. Snyder's approval on how to deal with cell phones. The second alternative states in board policy that cell phones cannot be used, specifically states that, but then it's left up to the building principals on how to enforce that within their own building. Because obviously, in my opinion, this is more of a secondary issue compared to an elementary issue. And so the same policy won't be probably applicable to an elementary as in the secondary.
And if you look at the high school handbook, it's already spelled out that cell phones aren't allowed. Now it has force of law behind it. And having force of law behind it, also staff, because before they're just breaking a high school policy, they're not breaking the law by allowing students to have it. That makes a big difference even to adults that are in charge of kids. Because they're going, wait a minute, I'm breaking the law if I'm letting them use it. It was never like that before. So the handbook just has more weight under the cell phone policy whenever it's backed up by statute and school board. And there's already a school board policy on electronic devices. So this is just codifying it into law here.
It is our recommendation to go with the one that states that it is in board policy that cell phones aren't allowed, but then up to the principals to enforce that within the policy.
Right.
So.
Sounds reasonable to me.
But if it's not being enforced, they are breaking policy. It's period. I mean, it don't matter how detailed you get on your policy, they still need to have to enforce it. So you guys don't have to come back and say, why isn't that policy being followed? See what I mean? It is policy.
So there'd be no cell phones allowed in the school at all, or would it
No.
have Dropbox at the?
That's what they do now, is they drop them off at the classroom doors. So they can have their cell phone, they just can't have it during instruction in a classroom.
That's fair.
good, yeah. And high school already has that. It's just been kind of like one enforced it, the next one didn't, but now it's like the law.
The law.
So it will change the outlook.
And it won't take long.
Some
people do it
It won't
already.
take long. For everybody to comply.
I don't think he was in.
Okay?
268 is what I already mentioned about developing a response plan, response team in an event of a cardiac event. So that's 268. That has to go into effect, not this school year, but for the secondary, the following school year, and in the elementary, the school year after that. But once we, if we get this approved, then coordination with our nurse to develop that response plan and stuff, so it should go pretty smooth there. 269 is kind of an interesting one. We are required now to provide information regarding water safety, such as we can provide the information on that basically in the summer we offer swimming lessons at our pool. Other than that, that's basically the extent that we have to give them, is basically just basic information regarding water safety and where they could possibly go to get trained to learn how to swim.
Where that came from.
That's crazy, that's random.
Yeah, it's very random, so basically,
It's way random.
It is, because the Buckeyes don't have pools anymore. Something must have happened in another district with
They're
a
just
long.
covering,
yeah, so our plan is to, once this gets, where we're gonna go ahead and probably start developing whatever that is to get out, because we'll just put it with our handbooks. Because it states on there that the parents must acknowledge that they received it, and then they have to sign that at the beginning of the school year with all the paperwork that you got the handbook, and we're just gonna put that at the end of the handbook.
swimming lessons will be
Basically.
available.
It's very random, that was a very random one.
It's a.
Very good. Okay, so any questions or any
Just a
problems?
first
That's just the
reading.
first reading. Yeah. Okay, for 265 to 269, which is item 7F.
Yep.
All right, let's go, we'll skip 7G, we've deleted that already.
Yeah, that was the nicotine one, just to refresh your memories.
Okay,
That was passed last time.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
is it nicotine and alcohol, or was it just nicotine?
Yeah, it was basically
Vape.
replaced
Yeah.
tobacco with nicotine.
Yeah, how it's labeled in the policy.
Okay, let's look at item H,
So this,
261 and 262.
yeah, so, Mr. Little kind of already went over this in his handbook about the new graduation requirements to get that. So basically, this is that same thing that he went over, just in this policy. It's the new graduation requirements for cohort 2029.
And it's already up for approval because it's third reading.
All right, third read on that.
Yeah, third read on that. We've gone over it twice. It takes algebra 2 out of it as a required course, a 2-unit pathway, 2 units or 2 electives based on.
Taking Marty into 8th grade.
Yeah,
Yes.
all that stuff that he already just went over.
And so if you guys ever decide, or we do too, and say, the financial literacy is great and everything, and the AI, but we want to move on and make it something else, or you guys see some other need, then you can always revisit it. It's not in stone on that part. The other parts pretty much are in statute, so they are in stone, but you still approve of them. But then this other part is, the optional part is which 2 credits that you want to make mandatory. That's the option.
And that is on the handout I handed you, the first 2 pages for this year.
Yes, on the cheat sheet.
Yeah, the cheat sheet there.
On our paper here on 7, this should have been on top of the page.
Oh, yeah.
7H, should have been said 7. The one, the handout.
It's also,
So it's
It's
265,
all just,
269, because I
yes,
don't have
it's
a
all run together.
261, 262 in it.
You just-
We've given so many of these here lately.
The first one, that's what he gave you, that's what he gave you.
Investigated this.
that's the summary sheet.
This one. Anyway, no matter. I was just like, wait a minute, why does it say H, but it's
Oh, okay.
265? Okay, I didn't have this.
Okay, so that is the third read on that, and I think we're all in agreement. 261 and 262. I'm okay with moving forward without the other two, or y'all?
I am.
I am,
That one being here? Okay,
Miss Amy was here.
And
on
what
the last
you,
group.
what y'all move forward with, though, you can always go back and say, and the other two really want us to look at this as a requirement. The rest of it is a statute. It doesn't matter whether they agree with it or not, I'll just be honest. But that part is up to them.
okay, I'll need a motion to approve item 7H, third read, items, advisories 261 and 262.
I make a motion. I will say.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we are up to the adoption, which Mr. Little spoke of on 7I. The grade requirements that are also on the table, and we all agree, I think, with his recommendations.
Yes, ma'am.
At least let's move forward
His
and
red line copy, which shows you everything is different from the last one.
and we can adjust in the future if we need to, if anybody sees a need, we'll be good.
I like it, put the money part.
Yeah.
You know to help me out way over here.
I'm still suffering because I didn't take that.
Yeah.
I had to learn the hard way. It was not fun.
I'm still learning the hard way.
Okay. I'll need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion. I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Last 7J, 2026 baseball field parking, LGRF agreement adoption, right here it is,
So,
$173,000.
so if you look at the LGRF, what that basically says is that the State Department, DOT, has agreed to pay us $130,000 if we spend $43,000
Mhm.
for a total baseball project of $173,000.
Mhm.
And so it's free money, is basically what you're approving,
This is for
the baseball field parking lot.
the parking lot. Okay.
Yes, this is to approve
It said
going
road,
into a
okay.
government agreement with that. And, you know, this is to say, I can go into the agreement because I'm the one that signs it, but I'm not gonna do that without talking to y'all first to make sure.
Yeah, you're okay, we were already gonna do the parking lot, weren't we?
Yes, we were doing either way, but
Say
this is
so
like
much money.
$130,000, I mean, that's a no-brainer.
$130,000.
I like to say this a bunch of money.
I need a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve. I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, why don't we-
That's a FYI piece there.
Coming down or just for it?
So that's,
Let me, I'll go over that
This is
here.
part of yours?
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Here we are, letter number 8, I'm sorry. Items for future discussion or consideration. Does anybody have anything?
No. No,
Not right now.
not
Okay.
at the moment. It happened very good.
Skip item 9, principals reports, there are none. Take us
And
to
it won't
number
be
10.
in July, even if it's on the agenda. They're not on duty yet. Well, actually, in July, they will be on duty by the time we have the board meeting, so we probably will have something.
So you're up.
Okay, so you're, if you will look at your AK sales, let's get that out of the way. This estimate is to $610,580.77 is to redo the drainage into 2 modes of drainage rather than 1. So before, Mr. Office, can you explain the 2 types of drainage?
well, obviously, the field can't handle, the current set of the field can't handle the water that's gone across there, right? So what this does is, 1, it replaces the drains underneath the turf. So when they installed the turf in the original turf in 2014 or 2015, whatever that was, they put 2 8-inch lines underneath that turf. Well, they are not sufficient with today's standards, so what that does, it takes those out and puts 12-inch lines in there to help take the
Still
water.
just 2.
That's one thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
Still just.
yes,
Because this says 10 inch.
or 10-inch, it's 10-inch,
Instead of
yeah.
6 inch.
Yes, it goes 12 inches on.
So it upgrades, it's kind of like a gigantic leach line with a sewer, where like if you ever have a septic tank and you leach it out, it's like wicking the water away from the field.
Yeah.
That's one method. The other method,
And the other is it's gonna install, like a corrugated drain all the way around the outside where the track meets the field. So it can,
So it'll never get to the field.
hopefully not, so it'll go into that drain trough basically, and it's gonna take it south and connect up to with the drain line that runs underneath the track on the south end and take it around the concession stand and dump it into the alley.
yeah. So it's two methods of drainage, so we can.
North or south, it's neither.
And we
He might need a boat.
And we're not required to do them both, but we just feel like more is better on this. I'm getting the,
Yeah.
so we can keep the $1 million curve.
Yeah.
And anyway, the track itself is getting to be more valuable.
It got to where we were having to replace the turf anyway, so that, all that was coming out, so we were like, we might as well address this. This is the time to address that.
So that is not a decision item on your part because it's out of the contingency that you approved in May. So in May, when you approved that 2.5 million of the 4.5 million total, you approved of the contingency was like 650 or 700,000. The reason I'm telling you is that we did it out of contingency just to get the ball rolling instead of putting it. So out of contingency is fine, but if we need to replace that contingency, now you guys know why. Because the 600,000 is being ate up by drainage improvements. That we're not, that's why it's contingency. We have no idea that was gonna happen when y'all approved that in May.
We had to move on that because it was taking 3 weeks to get those drains in
Wow.
to be installed.
So we'll be ready by.
So they're already installed.
No, we're still,
Ordered on the
they are
lots.
on order, they were waiting for them to get here.
Because they ripped up the turf already, right, or the track.
So
No, this is the other day, it was a mess.
it looks like a bomb went off down. I mean, but it's all coming out. The old track is up, it's down, the asphalt is up, it's down to just dirt right now. The turf is kind of halfway filled up, it's filled up all around the edges. Because they're getting ready to, they're prepping the dirt to install those drains right now.
How deep are they? Like those lines, how far underneath the track are they? The field and the track?
I would have
Is
to
it like
say
a
at
foot or
least
2
2
foot?
foot.
Usually, pipeline standard has to be a minimum 3 foot of cover. Pipeline.
Yeah.
Being as round and pipe, I would figure it'd be 3 foot minimum.
Yeah.
Cover.
The ones that
So
are
from
there
the
are
top of
pretty
the pipe to
fine.
the top of the surface, that would be 3 feet minimum, 36 inches. Which is pretty deep, actually. You can go get a 3 foot hole, like,
And it does leach out. It does, there's not like a certain pipe that just shoots out the side. It
because
just kind of-
it would be a 46 to 48 inch dip hole. anyway,
Yeah.
on the bottom.
So that being said, Joe, any other questions on that drainage, on what we're doing?
No, just remind us when contingency comes up.
But why didn't
Y'all
we,
said,
y'all, we put 650,000 in this, how come you already used it? And then you'll know what, that's why I wanted y'all to know, we're telling surprise, like, you didn't tell us about that $600,000 you spent that we didn't, wanted y'all to know that. Another thing before we get into the, I just have a couple of things, but the Appellate Authority. You're like, what is that? But today, this just came up today, is why it's not even on my report. What had happened is I found, actually, it was Casey, and he said, can we not roll over any of our vacation? And I was like, no, you can't, according to our existing policies. And I started looking at it going, why can't they? Why can't they roll over anything, but this office can? But she can, that's not right. She can roll over, but maintenance and custodial, they can roll over a week. But then maintenance can't roll over anything, and I was like, well, I understand the idea behind it was to make it where they use their vacation in the summer, so when kids are here, they're here, which I still encourage that. But I started thinking about it, and I'm going, well, let's look at the policy. So I'm gonna bring that to y'all to look at, but right now, it's like, y'all were just kind of barraged with a bunch of policy service advisories. We went from not having any for a year or two to like they keep shoving them on us. And I'm going, okay, first read, second read, which one's third read? And it gets confusing. So this one will be a local policy. The local policy was written in 1999 that pretty much says certain people can roll over their vacations, certain ones can't. I still don't think it's fair or equitable, and I think that it probably needs to be straightened out a little bit. But what I would like to do, it was 1999, I asked our legal counsel today what to do about it. The board has complete authority over it because it is a policy that still exists that carried over into the new policy. It has us on a 5-day week, according to how many weeks of vacation they get. That needs to be changed to 4. There's some major problems with it. The other part of it is not even really what board purveyance should be. Board purveyance should be like, what should y'all be able to do with this? However, as our attorney put it, it really makes sense to have it there so employees can go look at it. Because if you don't, and you rip it out of there and say, okay, superintendent, you take care of that, well, then nobody knows what the policy is except me, and hopefully I'll write it down somewhere. Does that make sense? So some things on policy are better to leave it there and modify it. At my suggestion, she said, just decide which way you want to ask the board to do it, and then they can decide whether they want to or not. My suggestion is that we look at that policy, make it a little more fair. I'm going to show you what's existing and what I propose on it, and then put it back into policy and update it. That's the easiest, cleanest way to do it, rather than just do away with it totally and hope somewhere that it gets carried on to through the next superintendent. That way you guys still have the authority over it, but you're the appellate, and where that comes in, you're the appeals court. So basically, if an employee says, this is not fair, I don't get to carry over a week of vacation like maintenance, like custodial does, then I can say, no, you can't carry it over. They can actually come to you on it, and you guys can rule on it theoretically. And it kind of keeps us out of legal hot water, because it's either that, and then you guys would look at it and go, wow, our existing policy is not right. We would lose over that. This whole school district would lose if it's not equitable or fair to everybody. So to be the appeals court, we can modify that. And then if there's ever an issue or a question on it, employees can come to me and I say, no. Well, they can come over to you guys. Y'all are the appeals court, basically, and you can overrule my ruling on it if you decide, wait a minute, he said that you get this and this is a little bit too much. You guys can overrule me and say, this is what we want to do going forward. That way y'all understand that. Because it gets, the murky part is where it gets what's employee decision and what's board decision. Because employee decisions are the superintendent, except for me. You guys are my boss, basically. So you guys tell me what my contract is, but then I in turn tell everybody else what their contract terms are. But then you still can be the appeal on that technically. Does that make sense? If somebody ever comes up and says, he's unjustly firing me, y'all are the appeals court. It will eventually come to the board to make a decision on whether you're going to uphold my decision or you're going to say, no, he was a little unjust on that. You can walk back what I say. Just like I've done to principals. Sometimes that can be done to me. Like if I say, no, 6-day suspension is too much, let's make it 3. Well, that's me going back and telling them, even though I trust their professional judgment, sometimes that appeal needs to be there for the student or the parent. Do you guys agree with that? Mm-hmm. So that's what it is, and you're going to see it at the next board meeting. And I'm going to show you what the existing is. 1999, it literally says, and it has a 5-day week, and it has all these different rules. But I'm thinking, why can't we just consolidate it and make it simpler for everybody? So what I was going to do is develop something, send it to legal, and then let you guys see it as your first, second, and third reading. Is that all right?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, just let you know on that. Football drainage system, we did use contingency on it, but we also had a question on whether we had the contingency, but we did because what you guys approved in May gave us enough contingency to approve the drainage. That's what I have here. The July board meeting. July 21st, I should be back, but I'm not sure. Are you guys okay if I move it to the 28th? Is everybody okay to move the next meeting to the 28th? Okay.
Very fast.
Okay.
Uh,
And that'll be all that I have.
July 28th.
So the 21st is when the next scheduled board meeting is. I think I'll be back from my vacation, but if I'm not, that's cutting it a little bit close within 2 or 3 days. If something were to happen. And so that's fine if y'all want to leave it on the 21st. But I just thought maybe even people would be back, because that's right before school starts. I thought maybe even the board would be more likely to even all be here by the 28th. Since everybody will be in town for their kids to go back to school.
Is that something we can handle in the text later?
Sure.
I'd rather do that.
I'm sure it'll be good. 21st, I don't show be here either.
Oh,
But it'll be good for me too.
okay, and it's okay, kind of okay-ish?
Kind of.
Because I have not set the date for the board meeting yet, and that's why.
Yeah, I would,
I usually just do the third Monday, third.
we sure need some five bodies here.
I know, yeah. But since it's the next board meeting, I don't know how to do that. You know,
Yeah.
Maybe just send a text out. Is that all right with y'all?
Let the dust settle for this week and then,
Yeah, because the clerk, there's so much going on, and then Jamie's church came up with that. So, next week, I'll just send that out and see if it's okay. Is that okay as far as you know, Renee?
What's that?
The 3 here, the 28th instead of the 21st for the next board. In fact, it will make it where Randy can be here.
Yeah.
So,
he's gonna send a text.
I'll send it, that's the
together.
other two can help decide.
Yes, sir.
Because it's normally just every third Monday.
Yep.
Okay?
I like to leave it that way.
Yeah,
Unless it's
it
spring
needs
break
to
or something.
permanently be that way, so we're not always
Yes.
swapping back and forth on when the meeting is gonna be, so. All right, are you, so that's all I have.
Okay, we'll wait for your text next week or.
I will
soon
wait until
after.
next week or a few days or several days or whatever, when Janie's back for sure.
She's on all week. All right, I need a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion to adjourn.
Say.
All in favor?
Aye.
Randy, you're welcome to this. Thank you so much. Good to see you.
Thanks, guys.
I'll never catch you.
Good job, thank you guys.
Thank you.
I'll come back.
See you, brother. Randy, we'll see you, buddy.
Yeah,
Carl.
see ya.
See you later.
Have a good one, y'all. We just.
Thank you.
Stay cool out there.
Oh, I know.
Y'all went over a lot, actually.
Super hot.
I know, I was waiting for a small
I
unit.
thought it was gonna be, and you're always.
Can I, can I